thrill me.
This show is part of the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Experience more on Facebook and YouTube.
It's Review It Man, reviewing what he can. Movies are his jam, so let's get twisted, man. It's Review It Rob.
Hey, yo, welcome into the Review of Rob show, man. Appreciate you joining in to listen to me talk about all kinds of things going around in the movie realm and talk about the film Damsel. This is the new Netflix original film starring Millie Bobby Brown, so we're going to be talking about that, spoiler-free, of course, as well as all things going on in the DC Comics films world, the horror films world, and anything else going on in movies that caught my attention. I thought, hey, maybe we should talk about, man. So appreciate you joining in. Hope everybody out there is doing great since the last time we talked. I've done all right. Been playing the WWE 2K24 game, having a good time there, and went to see WWE live last night, man, live and in living color. Great seats, had a good time there. Always fun to see professional wrestling live and seeing the WWE live on the road to WrestleMania. So that was a good time for sure. And WrestleMania is gonna be fun. So had fun with that. Nothing really else going on. Kind of just random. Waiting for Halloween Horror Nights to give me some kind of information to talk about. Working on a Halloween Horror Nights show, working on a lot of shows actually I might be throwing on our Patreon here on the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Do me a favor, give us a like and subscribe. We got all kinds of fun stuff going on, especially this week as the recording of this episode. It is Ghostbusters week over here on the Thrill Me Podcast Network. So Core Memory Unlocked Horror Edition. We'll be talking about Ghostbusters 1 and 2 as well. There's going to be a watch along for the Patreons for Ghostbusters Afterlife, and there's going to be a gameplay. So all kinds of fun stuff going on over there on the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Make sure you follow us on the socials to make sure you don't miss out on any of this fun stuff going down. And of course, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire releases this week in theaters. I will be seeing that, as well as I think everybody, the majority of us on the Thrill Me Podcast Network will be seeing it, and that'll be my review next week, of course, spoiler free, and just fun times, man. Exciting. Again, with that releasing this week, talked about Halloween Horror Nights a couple moments ago. Will we get our first announcement for Halloween Horror Nights being Ghostbusters? You know, there's going back and forth about whether it's going to be a Frozen Empire house. Is it going to be a Ghostbusters anniversary house of 1 and 2, since they're celebrating the 40th and 35th anniversaries, respectively, this year? Who knows, man, but we will discuss it here on this show, Halloween Horror Nights. Haunters Podcast will discuss it. I'm sure us on the Disnoise, the show I do with my brother Tombstone Josh, will discuss it. All kinds of coverage going on over here on the Thrill Me Podcast Network, man. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this week's movie. It is, again, Damsel. This is the Netflix original film that released over the weekend over there on Netflix. It is rated PG-13 for action, strong creature violence, and bloody images. It is a fantasy adventure film running in at 1 hour and 47 minutes, and again is streaming exclusively on Netflix. Synopsis goes as: a dutiful damsel agrees to marry a handsome prince, only to find the royal family has recruited her as a sacrifice to repay an ancient debt. Thrown into a cave with a fire-breathing dragon, she must rely on her wits and will to survive. Okay, sounds interesting enough. The folks over at Rotten Tomatoes have a critic score of 55%, while the audience score is a 65%, and IMDb has it at a 6.2 out of 10. So, what were my thoughts on the film? Let you know, man, I went into this film completely, without any information, right? I didn't see the trailer. I saw when the trailer released, and I know had some friends say they were interested in it and checking that out and said it looks good. I never saw the trailer. Didn't read that synopsis until just now. The only thing I knew it was a Millie Bobby Brown Netflix original film. Of course, we know her from Stranger Things. We know she's a very talented actress, so she has that relationship with Netflix. She's going to have an original film. Cool. Awesome. Didn't see it, and then, coming home from the wrestling show, I'm like, I need to watch a movie to review for this week's show, because a lot of my time's been taken up with WrestleMania rewatches and WWE 2K24, so need to get a movie in. And, I was like, I'll watch this. This is new. It came out. It's on Netflix. Netflix is working for me this week, so we'll check it out, man. We'll see what it is and all that stuff. So put it on, played it, and honestly, no kid whatsoever, absolutely loved this movie. Absolutely loved it from start to finish. Now, there's some moments where they're like, riding a horse or whatever. Whatever. It doesn't last that long. I'm like, whatever, get out of it. But it is a fantasy adventure film. It is very well put together, like any other kind of fantasy adventure movie you've seen. What surprised me about the movie is it is pretty violent. There is some violence going on in this movie. There are some bloody images, not over the top grotesque things happening and all that stuff, but it does get pretty violent in here. The movie is also very intense, man. There is an intense vibe to this film, especially when you're getting into, as it mentioned here in the synopsis, about the royal family doing a sacrifice. Like, you're watching the movie, you're always got, I guess, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but kind of telling on myself here, but anytime you see like a royal family or something like that in a movie, you're always like, okay, what are they up to? Maybe it's the Game of Thrones in me that's watched, that show, and all these, there's like all this royal, high, powerful family. There's always something bad and evil lurking behind them and all that stuff. So I was already a little skeptical of what's going on there. And then, of course, when it revealed itself, and of course, the synopsis spoilers because it's in the synopsis. Not going to fully spoil it, obviously, but what's in the synopsis is fair game. And when they do that, when they do change it around, they do the sacrifice. I'm like, holy freaking crap, dude! I'm like, oh no, like it got me. Like I was into this movie, man, from start to finish. I was really into this movie. I was sitting there. I watched this coming home from the wrestling show, so that was what. 12 o'clock, right? And the movie's about 2 hours long, and I was invested. I was invested from the beginning, man, because I'm like, cool, let's see how this goes. Now, there is, like I mentioned, there's some moments where you're like, maybe I don't need this, but at the same time, it's storytelling. It doesn't overly do itself. It's building the relationship between the damsel and the prince, right? So some of that stuff, that's fine, and that's story building, and that's good. The stuff that is really awesome and enjoyable about the movie to me was the part where she is in this cave with the fire-breathing dragon and seeing how is she going to get out of this and survive. And that stuff right there was the majority of the movie, and it's awesome. Like I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. Like there's moments where I was watching that, I'm like, this is creepy, dude. Like this really plays very well as a thriller film, even though it's considered fantasy adventure, which those movies could very much have thriller aspects into it, especially when you're dealing with a freaking dragon. Those things breathe fire out of their mouths, man. Dragoons are terrifying. And it worked, man. And the effects of the dragon looks really freaking awesome. The fire effects in the movie, oh my god. Oh my god. Like, not even kidding. So freaking good. Like, this movie nailed it to me. Like, and again, I'm going in there without knowing much of anything. Like, nothing at all about what this movie is. And I was captivated, man. I enjoyed it. I liked what they did with it. I think the acting is good. The acting is really good. I mean, again, Millie Bobby Brown, I feel however you want about her. She is a talented actress. Like, we've seen her from when she was like a little kid on freaking Stranger Things, and she was amazing then. And she's just taken all that she's learned from that time and just added in here, and she does a perfectly good job in it. And Angela Bassett's in this movie as well, who is just an absolute queen of an actress, like without a shadow of a doubt. I know a lot of people got upset when she didn't win the Oscar, which I get. She gave a fantastic performance in what was that, Black Panther? Was that Wakanda Forever, I think it was called. She did a fantastic performance. I'm not going to crap on the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis won, because I love Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's had this huge career for her. So it's just a rough go at it. I'm not going to throw hate towards anybody. It's freaking award shows. It's what it is. But Angela Bassett, fantastic, as always. Just an absolute amazingly amazing actress. So the acting is solid in the film. I like the story. The story plays very well, like a storybook, adventure film. I like the effects of the movie. I like I was not expecting it to be this good, if that makes sense. Because I did a show a while ago called Flixit, where it was just me watching Netflix original movies, and some of those things are not that good. It's just the lay of the land sometimes, and Netflix has gotten better with the stuff they've produced and put out there. I think I recently reviewed the Spaceman movie starring Adam Sandler, and I liked that. It wasn't the best thing in the world, but it was enjoyable enough. This movie, far superior, for sure, and that's not a knock at Spaceman, but it's just, this movie is so good, man. Like, I really, really was surprised by this movie. I had a real good time watching it, and I will gladly watch this movie again. I like what they did. It fits well, it plays well, it does good. All the dragon stuff and the cave stuff, thriller, got me on the edge of my seat, had me interested from the get-go. Was very interested during the cave stuff because I'm like, okay, how's she gonna get out of it? What's gonna happen when she's gonna go over here? Okay, what is this over here? What's going on now? How is this all working? And I enjoyed it, man. So that's my thoughts on Damsel. It is very much worth watching. If you don't have Netflix, get Netflix and watch it. It is that good. So if you do have Netflix, what are you doing? Watch the movie. And if you have seen the movie, let me know what your thoughts were. Sometimes we don't always agree on things. People didn't like my review of Spaceman. It is what it is. They didn't dislike my review, I guess. They just didn't like the movie. Which is fine as well. We're not all going to like the same things. We're not all going to gel and like the same movies. That's perfectly fine. That's cool. That's the reason I provide those critic scores and all that stuff because I care less about those things, to be honest with you. Critic scores have never driven me to see a movie. Honestly, I take that back. Critic scores have driven me to see a movie because when I see that the critic scores are really bad on a movie, that makes me want to see the movie because it's either one of two things. It's going to be hilarious how bad it is, or it's going to be hilarious how much I enjoy it. So it's that's the only time. Other than that, I can care less. A critic has never been like, oh, this is the greatest movie of all time. You got to see it. Never happened in my life. Like I'm gonna see a movie to see a movie if I want to see a movie. So that should be a shirt. But overall, Damsel, yes, good. Good film, very well done, very well put together in my book. So there you go. Those are my thoughts, spoiler free, on the film Damsel. Let's see. Going into news, we just went from mystery, action, adventure, fantasy, all that stuff. So it makes sense to go ahead and jump into some DC news here, with the first one being unfortunate. The Batman Part 2 has officially been postponed a year. The delay is taking place now, moving the film to October 2nd, 2026, as opposed to October 3rd, 2025. So, yes, pretty much a year from its expected release next year. So, that stinks, right? That is unfortunate news. I loved that first Batman film. It may be my favorite Batman film of all time. Like I love that film to death. Like that is a Batman movie to me, and wanting and hoping for something, in that world to come and be able to watch again would be cool, but at the same time, I'm fine waiting. I think we've gotten to this point where the comic book movies, DC and Marvel side, where it's like let's pace ourselves, and I think this movie's getting delayed for like the strike caused writing issues or something like that. Um, so it sucks, I know we all want the film sooner, but I believe the Penguin show's still on the way, so we'll get that at least in that world for a while until we get to the Batman. But I think it's fine to pace everything out, especially with the DCU starting up and getting us um, ready for that. And that's what Superman's now the only film releasing for DC next year, so and at the same time, it's fine, right? It's okay. Let's for us to pace it all out. We don't need 5 movies every single year. Like it's fun for us diehard fans, but at the same time, it's like this is where the people come in with the we're getting fatigued with these films. And again, it's not just DC; it is Marvel as well, because we're hearing that with their films as well. Marvel kind of doing the same thing. I think the only movie they have releasing this year is Deadpool. So the MCU side. The Sony Marvel stuff is a completely different thing that we don't want to talk about. But yeah, the Batman has been pushed back to October 2nd, 2026. Now, there is a rumor that the DCU lost my voice for a second. The DCU Supergirl movie, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow film, there's rumored that it'll be taking the Batman's release next year. I don't know how likely that is. I know we've already have a Supergirl cast and all that stuff. I don't believe I've seen any news about that about filming already starting there. I believe the only movie that is filming right now is Superman. So we'll see what that is. Again, just rumors. It's also a rumor that Supergirl will pop up in the Superman movie. So we will have to wait and see until that releases next year in 2025. Speaking of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, the writer of that film, and I suck with names. Anna Nakorova apparently is writing a screenplay for a live-action Teen Titans movie in development over at DC Studios. I haven't seen James Gunn confirm this yet, so I don't know how accurate this is. But Teen Titans, they have taken on a world of their own. Like they hit a pretty huge popularity recently with the Teen Titans Go cartoon. I think it was on Cartoon Network. So cool on them, man. Like again, I'm excited for anything DC. So if they want to bring those characters out as well, it's gonna be interesting. I would guess that's Elseworlds maybe if they're going that route because I mean if they're gonna do it, again that's surprising because Well, I guess we do have somebody working on Batman because the Batman film, the Batman Brave and the Bold, that's Batman and Robin's part of the Teen Titans. So you would assume the Batman movie would come out before this movie, the Teen Titans movie. But who knows? It's again, it's something that hasn't officially even been announced yet by the people running the thing over there. So it's all rumors until we get an official official is not a word, but I'm gonna use it. Announcements about stuff, and of course, once those come out, I will have you covered on the show, my babies. All right, that's it for the DC center of the world. We're gonna jump over to horror now, with the biggest news in horror since the last time we talked being the fact that Neve Campbell is returning to the Scream franchise after taking off for one film because of money issues. She will now be returning for Scream 7, with Neve Campbell posting this herself on her Instagram with, quote, Sidney Prescott is coming back, with 4 exclamation points there. It's always been such a blast and an honor to get to play Sidney in the Scream movies. My appreciation for these films and for what they meant to me have never waned. I'm very happy and proud to say I've been asked in the most respectful way to bring Sidney back to the screen, and I couldn't be more thrilled. Along with that return being announced, Kevin Williamson, who has been a writer, he's the Scream creator, he's been the writer for multiple films, will be directing Scream 7. So, it's an interesting situation we're in. I was kind of like, I have no problems with Neve Campbell. I don't really have a problem with Sidney. I think we've run the well with that character. It was kind of nice to live in a Scream movie without Sidney and see what that franchise is like without it. Um, I'm fine with her coming back, I guess. It's not shocking. Scream has been hit with a lot of controversy, um, and it's not surprising that a lot of people were planning to boycott the movie. So they're like, "Hey, let's get our biggest star back, give her all the money she wants, to try to entice people to come back." I would not be surprised if they start leaking some Matthew Lillard stuff possibly being in this movie as well to try to ease the way, because even with Neve Campbell's announcement, there's still a lot of hate being thrown towards the Scream movie. I'm I don't know what I feel about it. I'm kind of worn out on the Scream franchise, to be honest with you. Like I know it's like it's hit a, and I saw Sean Clark talking about this on the Malfunction show, or he's on a podcast, and he's like, Scream has become popular all of a sudden, and we don't know where that really came from. It's not a knock at he wasn't knocking it, I'm not knocking it either. I get its importance, especially in the 90s, but it's really just become something huge all of a sudden. So we'll see. I mean, Neve Campbell's back. I guess we can assume Courtney Cox is back. Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega are not back, so the sisters that were a huge part of the new movies are not going to be a part of it. We're bringing the legacy character, the biggest legacy character, back. So, we'll see what happens to him, man. We'll see what all ends up happening with Scream 7, but nonetheless, Neve Campbell is back. Let's see. Universal Monsters are back in the big bad way. Wolfman has officially started its production. I believe it started shooting, actually. The Wolfman film with Lee Wanell behind it, who, of course, did The Invisible Man a couple years ago, which was a fantastic movie, so we're all excited to see how his Wolfman turns out. And we get an official release date for The Bride, which will be a new take on a classic Bride of Frankenstein film. This will be directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. And we got a release date now of October 3rd, 2025, so right around Halloween spooky season time. Also around Halloween Horror Nights time. Halloween Horror Nights will be going on at that time, but does this movie get made into a house? Who knows, man? What we do know is this movie will be releasing October 3rd, 2025, and we have learned that Penelope Cruz will be playing the bride. Christian Bale will be playing Frankenstein, and Peter Skarsgård is the detective in the movie. So, good casting without a doubt over there. I love the Universal Monster films. I'm glad they're coming back. I don't care what anybody said. I still enjoyed that Mummy movie. Honestly, truth be told, I like Dracula Untold as well. Both those movies get a lot of flack, but I don't love Dracula Untold as much as the Mummy. Like, the Mummy's my life, okay? But nonetheless, excited to see the Universal Monsters coming back and more stuff they want to give us with them. Cool, man, bring it on. It should be a good time. Good time. Depending on how you want to go about it, is what we're going to talk about here next. The filmmakers behind Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey have officially unveiled This is the official name. I'm not joking with you. I'm not making up stuff. Okay. This is the 100% factual name of this show, or this thing they're doing. It is officially called. Are you ready for this? Pausing. Dramatic effect. It is officially called the the Pooniverse. The Pooniverse. Pooniverse Monsters Assemble, which will be bringing Pooh and various other beloved children characters gone bad. The team will team up, of course, Winnie the Pooh with murderous versions of Bambi, Tinkerbell, Pinocchio, Peter Pan, Tigger, Piglet, the Mad Hatter, and Sleeping Beauty for this Pooniverse releasing in 2025. They could have picked a better name, for sure. Pooniverse sounds like a adult film thing, if you will. So could have definitely done a different name, to say the least. But I'm not hating on the movies. Let's clarify that right now. I saw Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and I did not hate it. Like, I had a good time with it. I thought it was all right. All right, not the greatest thing in the world, but hey, doesn't need to be. It just needs to be a good time. And that movie was, to me, a good time, right? They're doing part two that releases, I think, this week or next week, March 26th, 27th, 28th. Fathom Events will be having that in theaters, and then we'll be streaming at some point. Um, I don't hate the idea. Like, I like this idea. This is a fun idea of taking the childish Disney characters that were beloved and turning them into grotesque horror, murderous killing spree things, right? I don't hate that. I don't like the name. I think the name is not the best, but yes, they are doing an Avengers-esque freaking assembling of monsters, sleeping beauty, Bambi character things, and they're turning it into a big Pooniverse. So, um, yeah, I will watch. Like, obviously I'm gonna watch. I'm there. The question is, when are these other movies coming out? Or are we all throwing these characters in at the same time? Because this thing's coming out in 2025, and we've only seen Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and the Grinch thing is not part of this. So we've only seen Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and we have part two coming out soon. Not this week, next week. So, they're just showing up in that movie? Cool, I guess. Fine, whatever. But yeah, nonetheless, we're spending too much time on this. That is happening. The Pooniverse is happening. So, have fun. Like, watch movies to have fun. Okay. Um, so when it happens, I will watch it. Like, I'm sure I've seen people posting on social media that they will be watching it as well. So it'll be a thing. It just I wish they would have spent more time on the name, but maybe the name was a choice for conversation as well. Let's see. Last bit of horror news here is that Salem's Lot will finally be releasing. Warner Brothers Discovery will be bringing Salem's Lot to Max later this year. The film was expected or scheduled to release back in September of 2022 in theaters. Has been on a long question of if this will ever release. Stephen King has sent out plenty of posts about how much he's enjoyed the film and how much the film deserves to be put out. And now we've got word that it'll be hitting Max now. That's, of course, not official confirmation that it'll be happening because we've seen the people over there at Warner Brothers Discovery cancel movies that are done. Most recently with the Coyote movie, Looney Tunes Coyote versus Acme movie, I think it was called. But they're now moving this to Max, so we'll see if it happens. We'll find out if that releases or not. It's supposed to happen this year, so we'll see. It's just a matter of if it actually happens at this point. All right, and last bit of news for this week's episode, which kind of counts as horror. I don't care what anybody says. I consider this franchise part of horror. The Jurassic franchise. We've been having a lot of news revolving that franchise over the last couple of weeks since they announced that there will be a new trilogy of films in the Jurassic franchise coming. They announced Gareth Edwards will be the director of the film. And we have now learned of a rumor about who will be starring in the film, with reports saying that Scarlett Johansson has been offered the lead role in the Gareth Edwards Jurassic World movie. Again, I don't know why it's called Jurassic World. Jurassic Park was where this stuff started, but just call it Jurassic, man. So the new Jurassic movie, it's expected to begin filming later this year and is currently scheduled to release next year on July 2nd, 2025. Will this be a house at Halloween Horror Nights? Just kidding. It is the fun game that we play with anytime like a movie comes out. It's like, will this be a house at Halloween Horror Nights? Because everybody's like, oh, this movie's coming out this year. It's going to be a house at this Halloween Horror Nights. I did it earlier with the freaking that movie that's released in October. So it's all fun and games, my babies. I would love a Jurassic Park house. They haven't done one since Halloween Horror Nights was at Islands of Adventure. So I would love a Jurassic house if they want to do that. No knocking, man. I would obviously love that. So Scarlett Johansson, talented actress. We like her. I got a buddy who's in love with her. It's a celebrity crush. Her in a Jurassic film could be fun. It'd be interesting. I don't know what she's done recently. I think she's still doing the Tower of Terror film for Disney. But since Avengers, I don't know what Scarlett's been up to. Maybe she's taking a break, which is good for her, right? She's been doing a lot of work for a long time. She is a child actress, so, I like her. I have no problems with her. I think she's talented. See her in the Jurassic franchise would be cool. They've always had some awesome ladies over there, from Laura Dern to the amazing Bryce Dallas Howard. So if Scarlett Johansson wants to be a part of it, more power to it, man. I'm just here to be happy to see it on the Jurassic movie. Like, I love that franchise to death. That is my jam. Jurassic Park is my all-time favorite film. Yes, I said that's my jam because I'm an old person, but at the same time, I don't care because it's fun to say. So, that's what it is, my babies. So there you go, man. That is the news for this week's episode. Hope you liked it. Also, that was the review for this week's episode. Again, it was Damsel, the Netflix original film starring Millie Bobby Brown, the action adventure fantasy film. It's got a dragon. It's got intensity. It's on Netflix. So, hope you enjoyed it, man. If you've seen Damsel, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on any of the news that came out today. Are you upset about the Batman being shelved for a year? Are you excited for The Bride? What's your thoughts on the Scream franchise and Nev Campbell coming back? That's opening up a whole can of worms. Maybe don't let me know that. What do you think about the Pooniverse? Jesus. And then Jurassic World starring Scarlett Johansson. So all kinds of fun stuff, man. Hope you all had a good time with this episode. Appreciate you joining in and listening to me ramble on about movie news. I have a great time doing the show, and I hope it comes off that way because it's the facts. And I hope you have a good time listening to it. That is it for this week's episode. Appreciate you all. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, week, month, year. And as always, remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all next episode.